Welcome back to Ghost Review TV, where we do all power and different variety of shows. We're gonna do our little predictions for episode 2. Let's get it.
Yeah, so in episode two, the title of episode two it says to find our own self. It does look like Tariq and Braden are gonna go back to adjusting it to go back to college, just as regular college students. It looked like Detective Carter is going to set his sights on getting revenge for Junior's death on Tariq and company, and Monet is out the hospital, so she wants back into the game. She probably wants to get her distro spot back, and it also looks like Noma is also seeking out maybe a potential opportunity with the Russians. Now, what I find very fascinating in the previews of the trailers of episode two, it does look like Effie set up the meeting for Noma and the Russians. So it looks like Effie is trying to slowly, she's again. This title says to find for your own self. So I believe this is more like self-preservation. So I think Effie's gonna try to slide into that distro role. Another thing I found very fascinating about the trailer, Tariq has his old Mustang back. So it leaves a lot of breadcrumbs to believe that 2-Bit might be having an appearance in this episode because he got the car back from Tariq. I'm thinking that 2-Bit's gonna show up. He might give him a car, rely some money, give him some money, or just remind him like, yeah, hey Tariq, you still owe me that bread. He might be there to collect as well. And Tariq also has some money that he got from episode one in the school, from the school as well. So I think in this episode, I think Tariq is gonna try to figure out a way. I think he's kind of starting to realize that he might be out the game, but he wants to be out the game, but he wants the lifestyle and money that comes with it. Especially him and Braden, especially since Braden and family is going to cut him off from what it seems like. And also Detective Carter's is going to be on Tariq Hills as well, so Tariq is going to have to afford a lawyer because those charges are going to come down. I mean, I also think the way he killed Junior is pretty sloppy. The thing I found most interesting though is the fact that Effie, it does seem like she's gonna try to make a power play to try to get that distro spot, and it sounds like Monet, even though she just got out. They also said in the trailer that Kane was saying, "Hey, it's a new game out here and all that." After she got out the hospital, so Monet's definitely gonna try to get that power back, so she can basically structure her organization and also get her kids back in line as well. And one last thing I noticed in that trailer that they showed, so Diane, she went back to college as well, and she's working at that candy store. So when she first started working at the candy store, she was selling for her dad and Kane as well, making the family extra profit. So I'm curious to see if maybe Effie tells her like, "Hey, go back to the candy store. This is gonna be how we distribute our drugs and make our money like that." Or if she's just going back to work a regular college job and try to be a regular student as well. Um, I think it's a lot of great subplots for this episode. I think it's gonna be pretty explosive. I don't think it's gonna be as many bodies dropping. I definitely think it's some potential for Drew to potentially die this episode. If Monet kind of catches wind of what he did, because Monet's also going to be asking Tariq and Kane about that, like, yo, what happened? She's specifically probably going to ask Tariq because Tariq has always held her down and pit things together. But what you think of it that's going to happen for episode two?
Well, what I think in episode 2 is I feel that there's going to be a lot of men's with uh, with Diane and Tariq, and then there's going to be him and Effie are going to make amends. I saw a piece of the trailer where Effie is saying, "Hey, I did you a favor. Like we are we good?" In so many words, without Tariq giving an answer. I'm believing that Tariq is going to tell her no. Like you're a snake, and all you do is look out for yourself. I think at some point, Noma, daughter, and Tariq are going to hook up at some point, and
Mm.
I think that that's something that I predict that's going to happen. I predict also that Diana is going to still try to get back with Tariq, and like we still are hinting that this big pregnancy is might be going on. I think that's going to be a part of it too, and I think Diana's going to catch Tariq doing something with Noma's daughter. I don't know how they're going to be introduced, but I think that's one of my predictions is going to happen. I see that they're all going to try to get back on Tariq's good side, and I think with the distro thing that Effie's trying to be, she's going to try to cut Tariq in and say, "Hey, I know you're a little broke right now. Like, hey, I think you might, want to come and help me out with this, with setting up with the rushes with Monet." And I think those are what my little predictions are. Like, I think they're gonna all. I don't think Drew's gonna die this episode, and I do think Tariq is going to say she's going to throw him. She's going to throw Noma off the trail about who shot her. I think she's going to blame it on someone else so she can do Diane a favor. And at some point, I feel like the truth is going to be found out. I just don't think it's going to be this soon into the episode. I think like in the middle of the season when we see different people die left and right, and I don't see any of the main characters dying in this episode right now.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. But with the arrival of 2-Bit, I can also see Tariq kind of making amends with 2-Bit, paying that money he owed, and letting him know eventually, yo, we setting up. This could be the breadcrumbs for what could potentially be a war, and 2-Bit presence is going to be huge. Like, once he gives that vehicle back, because we know he's giving the car back, for whatever reason. I'm very curious to know is like, are they gonna make a peace treaty where 2-Bit is gonna figure out a way to be assist Tariq? Tariq can also say, hey, 2-Bit, I want you to be the new distro here. Let me introduce you with Noma. Or he can set up a play like that where maybe Noma doesn't know 2-Bit is connected to Tariq, and now Tariq can work. He can work and make money off 2-Bit like that. Or they can figure out a collaboration or something like that. I also think eventually, maybe not this episode, um, but spoiler here, maybe in an episode or two, Diane's going to come with, I want to say maybe episode 4 or 5, because the way we're getting 5 episodes, and then they're going to break until September. So I believe the last episode is like July 21st or July 28th. So I'm thinking that fourth or fifth episode, Diane is going to tell Tariq, like, hey, I got a baby. I got your baby on the way. Because that's another one that, that's a big one. And then that might change the dynamics of what potentially could be the war. You said something that I did want to touch on. I do think Tariq is going to try to romantically get Noma's daughter. I think that's a little bit risky for Tariq because he's already not on Noma's good side. So it's like, why do that? I don't understand that move, but I'm sure the writers have their reason of why they want to do that. I also think this Kane Drew thing it's going to be fascinating as well because from the beginning, you know, um, their dad always wanted Drew to be the leader, even though he had his sexual preference and everything. Um, but Kane has always pushed back against that. Always felt like he was a bit too soft to be a leader of their organization. So kind of having that um confrontation is going to be interesting. I think that can potentially happen. Um, the third episode. I don't think they're gonna give us that the second episode. They might give us some breadcrumbs of that, but I don't think they're going. I think they're gonna save because typically watching Power, the first episode is always fire. Second episode is good, but it's setting up for the breadcrumbs. So the second episode, I don't think it's gonna be boring because I don't think anything in Power is ever boring. Um, but I think it's gonna be setting up for the breadcrumbs for episode 3, 4, and 5, because those are going to be the explosive ones. That's going to take us into that break. And I think after that break, it's going to be full throttle. But I think they got to set up the breadcrumbs for what they want to do for the rest of the season until with this episode, because I mean, that first episode was so explosive. It's like, where do you go from here? So you got to set this. You got to set the breadcrumbs with this episode, and then episode 3, 4, and 5. That's when the bodies are probably gonna start dropping again. Episode 5, I can guarantee you, Drew's gonna die by episode 5. I'm 100% for sure about that. He's gonna die. I don't know who's gonna kill him off, but he's gonna die by episode 5. And I think they're gonna set the breadcrumbs for this episode right here. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I think this is gonna be one of those episodes where it basically gonna detail out the whole season. I think Tariq, like you stated, I think Tariq is gonna get with Noma's daughter, and that's gonna be a huge play because if he gets in tune with Noma's daughter, that's another reason Noma might not be able to take him out. Especially if she cares about what her daughter thinks. So, um,
Well, those are our predictions for today. We'll be back with another ones to do a recap on episode 2. We'll be back for the next one. Like, subscribe.